Hi, I'm here to inform people of the problems with our food supply, including GMOs and what this has done to our food. We're not really eating what we think we're eating. We all know that these products contain corn, like cornmeal, because it says cornmeal. But did you know that products like marshmallows and chewing gum contain almost just as much corn as the cornmeal does? In order for us to be informed consumers, we must all know what GMOs are, how the use of GMOs affect our food supply, and how the industrialization of farming impacts the very food we eat. First, let's learn a few things that are in our foods. GMOs. What they are is genetically modified organisms. The cells in the corn are changed by splicing in certain traits. And the only way to really change the cellular structure of an organism is with viruses and bacteria. They commonly use the salmonella bacteria to modify most organisms, even corn. You see, in order to change the cellular structure of an organism, you have to use an invasive organism, like bacteria and viruses. See, all corn, but organic corn, are GMO corn. And corn's in lots of foods. Corn's in candy, cookies, pop, even bacon that we learned in King Corn. Corn feeds most of what we eat as well. We feed corn to cows, chicken, pigs. Almost all the food we eat has been fed genetically modified corn. And that brings us to the industrialization of farming. There's really only about 5 major producers of food in America. We learned this from Food Inc. as well. That means that our food is no longer produced by our local farms. So what does all this mean? It means that our food is no longer made, it's engineered. The industrialization of farming has changed our food supply from raw food to a food-like substance. For example, take high fructose corn syrup. Almost all of our sweet foods contain corn in the form of sugar, like this marshmallow. High fructose corn syrup. There's also maltodextrin, a rather common additive to a number of different foods. Maltodextrin is classified as a sweet polysaccharide. We learned this from wisegeek.com. Xanthan gum. When Xanthomonas campestris was combined with corn sugar, the result is a colorless slime called xanthan gum. Xanthomonas campestris is a bacteria that causes blackroot in broccoli. And there's lots of other stuff that we make from corn that goes into foods that we eat every day. So, how did this happen? Well, it's because the same people that regulate our food work for the food industry and then go back to regulating. So, they might start out working for the food industry, then they regulate the very industry that they work for, and then they go back to working for the food industry. It's a vicious cycle, and that's how this has all happened. One of the really weird and gross things that has happened is, for example, with hamburgers. There can be thousands of different cows in just one hamburger. And I know it's really gross, but it's not just gross, it's dangerous. The possibility of danger increases when foods are made this way because if just one of those cows had some kind of foodborne bacteria or illness, it infects all the different hamburgers and different parts that go into all the different things that we eat every day. So here's another thing that's really happened with the industrialization of farming. Corporations actually own our genes. Companies like Monsanto and Dow Chemical Companies own most of the human genome. In their attempt to own all the foods and their gene codes, these companies have patented life. See, because the government really doesn't consider our genes ours. The individual gene codes are patented and owned by corporations. This was actually intended to allow farmers to own new strains of crops, but since its inception in the late 1800s, it's given corporations the ability to own things like the human gene codes. And it's gone even further in the last year with the Supreme Court ruling extending the same rights to individuals to corporations. So, how do we change all this? Well, let me tell you, you got to watch what you eat. Look at the label. Unless it says USDA organic, then it's probably not. So just be aware of what you put in your body. You know, we don't have to stop drinking pop or eating candy, but we do need to be aware of what's in it. And think about how these foods might affect you and your family the next time you go to buy them. Because we don't really know the long-term effects of eating foods that are made from genetically modified organisms. Remember, every time you buy food, you're voting for that food. If you want the industry to change, we must change. The only way for this change to occur is for us to eat foods that don't contain GMOs. Industry is not going to change. Industry is out to make money. But if foods without GMOs are more profitable, then that's what the industry will make. Thank you.